A new campaign is underway to empower girls. An underlying issue is that relatively few girls choose to enter job fields in the math and science industry. The National Science Foundation says 66% of fourth-grade girls say they like science and math, but only 18% of all college engineering majors are female. This Verizon commercial explores the issue.
Who's my pretty girl?
Our words can have a huge impact. Isn't it time we told her she's pretty brilliant, too? Encourage her love of science and technology.
A key aspect of girls' empowerment is the issue of self-image. My Black is Beautiful campaign addresses this issue. Take a look.
What do you see? A girl who knows beauty comes from the inside. A girl who likes to dream big.
Hair locked, braided straight, our eyes shine like precious gems.
Well, joining us here in our New York studio is author, editor, and leadership coach Harriette Cole. And out of Washington, D.C. is Luisa Arnedo. She is a biologist who has dedicated most of her career to work with endangered species of primates and works in conjunction with the National Audubon Society. Welcome, both of you ladies, to Arise America. I appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Great to have you. Let me start with you, Harriette. You know, I think the issues of beauty and appearance of girls dog us and has dogged this society for forever and ever. And even in the face of great role models like Hillary Clinton, like Michelle Obama, who, oh, by the way, is an attorney, you know, like Condoleezza Rice, like Madeleine Albright, all of these women still get plagued about what they wore, what kind of hairstyle, and whether or not they put on weight. What is that?
Look, it's part of human nature. It's part of our history as human beings. It's not just the United States. You can go back through the ages in African cultures, in any culture. Women are judged on how we look, at least to a certain extent. But we have the opportunity to let our girls know that that is not the only measure by which they should be judged. I mean, I'm one of 3 girls. My parents taught us we had to be smart, we had to be excellent at school. You know, A's were the requirement, and therefore we brought home A's. I mean, an occasional B, but rarely. But I have to tell you, when I was in college, I went to Howard. I sat in the front. I always sat in the front. I got an A in a journalism class, and one of my male students came up to me and said, I know you got that A because you wore short skirts and you sat in the front of the room. And I was so offended. Are you kidding me? But my parents had taught us, it doesn't matter what people say, it doesn't matter what people think. Your responsibility is to be your best. Yes, it's good to look good, but that's hardly enough.
And what's so important is that you got that kind of affirmation, that kind of encouragement. Let me turn to you, Luisa. First of all, I'm wondering who encouraged you to pursue science? And we didn't show that whole commercial, but the commercial started off with this little girl going through her life being interested in science and nature and building, and always discouraged so she wouldn't get dirty, so she wouldn't hurt herself. Isn't it important to have somebody in your life that encourages you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that part of what we need is more mentors and more people that really care and really encourage the girls to do that. In my case, was one of my teachers in high school, my biology teacher, and you know, I don't come from that background of science or technology, but I was very curious about biology and about science in general, and I was lucky enough to have her to tell me, you know, you can do this. You know, you don't need to, you know, be anything like special. You just can have with your curiosity, just really do that. And I went to college to study biology, and I continued grad school in biological anthropology.
I'm wondering, Luisa, did you have a similar experience that Harriette had, and that is someone assuming that either you didn't belong because you're a pretty girl, or perhaps maybe you should do something else? For instance, I was an ag major. I went to veterinary school, and I remember in my ag courses, my professors saying, oh, you should go into journalism. You're so pretty, trying to discourage me from science. Did you have that kind of experience?
I did a little bit, I think, in college, but it was mostly because I went into field work. So it was more like, oh, well, you don't get too dirty. You know, you can do some lab work. But I really wanted to do just go into nature and experience it. But I had that, but I also I also persevere, and I think that that's also very important.
Is important. Of course, the irony is that I did end up.
Well, you did, but
I
you
got
did
the
both.
degree. I got the degree.
Both.
Yeah. You know, but in this society today, Harriette, talk a little bit about the pressures that young girls feel, because it seems in some ways we're moving backwards.
Well, I think there are the pressures to be beautiful, and there are the pressures to excel at whatever you are aware of. And I think part of the problem as it relates to STEM, because that's what kind of started this conversation with that commercial, is that many people aren't exposed to it. And my sister, I have two sisters. One of them is Stephanie Hill. She was named Black Engineer of the Year this year.
Ah, congratulations.
She works for Lockheed Martin, now runs one of their businesses, but she calls herself the accidental engineer. My father was a judge. My mother was an educator. While education was pushed, nobody knew anything about science or math. She was good at those things. And she, as Luisa said, she had great mentors in school who said, you're good at this. You should continue down this path. So she advocates all the time to tell young people, if we do not go into those fields, America will be taking a way back seat in years to come and soon years to come, because we aren't going into those endeavors. So we need to expose our children, especially our girls, to everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to point out for our viewers, in case they don't know, STEM, of course, the acronym stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math.
Right.
Louisa, let me turn to you. And so just sort of give a pitch. If there are some young ladies watching this show, and I certainly hope there are, tell them about the fulfillment and the joys that you've experienced working in science.
Well, I think that what science and technology gives you something that, you know, you could take with you, even if you decide later on not to continue that. When, you know, you learn some skills that, you know, can make you unstoppable in many different ways. I think that what we need now is more mentors in more programs. And I will encourage these girls to look for programs out there that will help you to keep in that track. The program that I work with now, that is the Toyota Together Green program that is managed by Audubon Society, and it's a partnership between Audubon and Toyota, we support the mentors, the teachers, the educators, the people that go and encourage the girls and the guys too to stay and continue being curious about science, being curious about technology and innovation. And we need continuity. You know, it can't be just one step. It has to go through all the school and also in college, and just show like the path is you can have a career. You know, you don't have to think about like, oh, well, maybe I will choose this, but I'm not going to be very successful. You can be very successful, but we need programs that will show you the practical part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to stop the conversation right there, but it's so important to plant that in young girls' heads
Early.
Very early.
And all the time.
Yes, early and often, as they used to say.
Often.
Harriette Cole, Luisa Arnedo, thank you both.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.